Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. Deeper still. Now navigate through your memories to the very first time you genuinely fell in love. Remember that electric feeling in your stomach mixing anxiety and ecstasy, the sweet obsession coloring all your thoughts, the silent promise of completion that seemed to fill every existential void like water in a desert. Hold that sensation carefully. It's important. Now, I want you to imagine something that will radically challenge everything you believe about love, relationships, and human connection. What if all of this, the fairy tales your grandmother told you, the romantic songs that rocked your adolescence, the movies that made you cry, the soulmate dreams that warmed your lonely nights, is a perfectly engineered lie? A biological, psychological, and social trap meticulously designed to keep you docile, dependent, and controllable. Romantic love isn't a sacred bond, it's the most powerful social ghost ever created, a construction so well crafted that we mistake our own slavery for liberation. And today, you'll learn to see the strings moving this puppet. You'll understand the machinery behind the emotional theater. You'll never look at an I love you the same way again, and this will be the greatest blessing of your life.
In The Ego and Its Own, Max Stirner exposes love as the ultimate spook, a phantom that convinces us to surrender our sovereignty in exchange for a comfortable lie. But let's go beyond Stirner, diving into the historical origins of this collective illusion. Romantic love as we know it hasn't always existed as a dominant force. It was invented by 12th century troubadours to control nobility through courtly love, transforming devotion into a political instrument. Victorian morality weaponized it for social stability, creating marriage as an institution of control. The 20th century commercialized it through Hollywood and the advertising industry. Today, global corporations sell it back to us as the missing piece to happiness, from blood diamonds to dating apps that turn connection into commodity. A trillion-dollar industry depends on your unshakable belief in this phantom. But beneath the poetry and romantic promises lies a brutally simple truth. Love is a control mechanism that makes you police yourself voluntarily. The longing for completion fundamentally implies you're incomplete, a brilliant psychological trick to keep you perpetually searching, consuming, and obeying. And this system's most intelligent feature? It makes you defend your own chains as if they were precious jewels, fight for your own prison as if it were a castle. The genius of the Love Spook lies in how it transforms slaves into voluntary guardians of their own emotional captivity.
Meet Chloe, a high-frequency trader who applied Stirner's principles to her relational universe with surgical precision. She methodically identified three main relational spooks that paralyze most people. The one, the illusion of romantic destiny; soulmates, the myth of completion through another; and unconditional love, the fantasy of absolute acceptance. Phase 1. She analyzed dating apps as sophisticated Skinner boxes designed to addict users to validation through intermittent variable rewards, the same psychological mechanism used in slot machines. Phase 2. She completely reversed the script, used romantic language strategically to gain advantages in complex negotiations and social climbing. Expressions like "I feel a unique connection" or "I've never met anyone like you" became precise tools to access privileged information and create strategic alliances. Phase 3. When partners accused her of being cold or calculating, she elegantly exposed their emotional dependency. Their pathological need for her validation empirically proved her central philosophical point. Result? Multiple, deeply devoted partners while maintaining absolute emotional independence and existential freedom. Her fundamental lesson? Love is a complex transaction disguised as pure emotion. Whoever needs less always wins. Chloe's case isn't about sociopathy or lack of empathy. It's about lucidly realizing that the emotional game exists, whether you want to play consciously or be played unconsciously. Her genius was transforming a system designed to control her into a tool for her own liberation.
3 steps to kill the love spook. Step 1. Deep romantic autopsy. Methodically dissect your last 3 significant relationships. List everything you romantically called love. Then coldly identify the real transactions hidden beneath the emotional surface. Financial security exchanged for aesthetic beauty, social status for emotional affection, existential loneliness for convenient companionship. These aren't sacred bonds or transcendental connections. They're unconscious negotiations disguised as destiny. A concrete example. You say true love, but what really happens behind the scenes is financial protection in exchange for youth, or social status in exchange for unconditional admiration, or emotional stability in exchange for silent obedience. Recognizing these fundamental transactions doesn't automatically make the relationship false or empty. On the contrary, it makes you conscious of the real dynamics at play, allowing you to navigate them with sovereignty instead of being navigated by them like an emotional sleepwalker. Step 2. Biological and historical tracing. Follow the blood and history to their primary sources. When you feel that explosion you call love, you're fundamentally experiencing a biochemical cocktail of oxytocin, vasopressin, and dopamine, substances evolution designed to bind slaves to masters, mothers to children, and you to your emotional captor. Adult romance is simply the sophisticated version of imprinting, the same primitive psychological mechanism that makes newborn ducklings blindly follow the first moving thing they see. But let's go further. Recognize the double prison. Your mind has been simultaneously hacked by centuries of refined social engineering combined with ancestral evolutionary programming. You're fighting against millennia of biological and cultural conditioning that conspired to make you believe emotional dependency is the pinnacle of human fulfillment. True freedom begins when you realize you're in a prison and that most of the guards are your own treacherous neurotransmitters. Step 3. Effective theft and reconstruction. Steal love back through a process of conscious reconstruction. Use its language and rituals when strategically beneficial. Whisper forever if it genuinely brings you closer to your existential goals. Offer soulmate status when creating advantageous alliances. Employ the poetry of romance when it serves your authentic purposes. But here's the fundamental secret. Never, ever believe your own performance. As Stirner precisely wrote, I love because love pleases me, not because it completes or redeems me. Become a brilliant actor in the global romantic theater, but never the naive spectator of your own play. The mastery lies in dancing the love dance without ever forgetting you're dancing, in experiencing emotional depth without ever drowning in it. This is the essential difference between using a spook and being used by it.
Now the truly terrifying question, the one few have the courage to face. Who would you be if absolutely nobody loved you romantically? If all romantic connections, all I love yous, all meaningful embraces, all special glances completely disappeared from your universe tomorrow? Feel that panic rising, that anguish in your chest, that existential void opening like an abyss? This visceral sensation is the love spook dying. It's the sound of shackles breaking and the concomitant terror of newly discovered freedom. It's the slaves suddenly realizing that the chains binding them were also their emotional support system, that their prison was also their psychological home. True romantic liberation isn't finding perfect love or the ideal partner, it's deeply realizing that you never needed any of them to begin living fully. Imagine waking up tomorrow knowing with absolute certainty that you would never be loved romantically again, and feeling not despair or loneliness, but genuine relief. Relief at never having to emotionally perform again, never having to mold yourself to another's expectations, never having to negotiate pieces of your soul for crumbs of conditional affection. This is the freedom that scares more than loneliness, because it places all responsibility for your happiness exactly where it should always have been, in your own hands.
They will come in droves, the guardians of the temple of romantic love. They will shout in unison, "This is empty cynicism. You'll die alone and bitter. Nobody will cry at your funeral." Predictable as a rehearsed script. The relationship industry, from wedding planners to couples therapists, from romance novelists to ring manufacturers, viscerally depends on your unshakable belief in romantic destiny. Their favorite weapons? Your deepest loneliness, your ancestral fear of being unworthy of love, your biological need for belonging. But the dirtiest trick of all was making you believe that emotional dependency is supreme virtue, that pathological need is sentimental depth. They will point out that Stirner died relatively alone, but conveniently won't mention how many loving and attached people die tolerating abusive partners, repeated betrayals, and lives of silent frustration from paralyzing fear of loneliness. The most insidious counterattack? They will accuse you of being incapable of authentic love, when in reality, you finally learned how to do it without losing yourself in the process. This is the true heresy they cannot forgive, that you discovered how to drink the water without drowning in the river.
One simple but profound law remains when all emotional fog dissipates. What genuinely strengthens your existential sovereignty is true love. What diminishes or corrupts it is dependency disguised as love. Not because some romantic poet or enlightened philosopher declared it, but because you are the only sovereign God of your personal universe, the final architect of your emotional reality. As Stirner wrote with cutting clarity, "My love belongs to me exclusively. I grant it or withdraw it according to my sovereign will." Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to sign the definitive death sentence of the love spook inhabiting your psychological depths. Not tomorrow, not when you find the right person, not when you're ready, but right now, in this exact moment where your life actually happens. True love isn't about finding someone to die for, it's about finding someone to live authentically with, without having to die emotionally in the process. This is the only romantic revolution that truly matters.
If you're among the 1% who dare to love without chains and relate without getting lost, subscribe now. Next, family, the first cult, how to deconstruct the original spook. Comment below. The love spook I will execute first. Share strategically with someone you genuinely want to awaken. Like without fear. If you are not and never will be anyone's emotional property.